everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel Palacios, and in today's video I'm going to be running through my just purchased books and also just talk about a couple of books that I've been currently reading or I have recently read. Now, a lot of you guys love when I give book recommendations, so these are, I don't know if I recommend these yet, but they are stuff that have been recommended to me or by people that I know, and I wanted to try them out. So that being said, I'm going to start off first with the books that I have most recently read or are currently reading. So the first one we have here is the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Now this one, I wanted to talk about this one because I've heard of this book just in passing. It was never on my reading list. It was never something that I said, oh, I really want to read this book. It was just kind of like I knew of it, but I wasn't interested, you know? So back in January, I had a dream, and in the dream, somebody either very clearly said or there was a very clear voice. I don't remember the dream at all. All I remember is that I heard very clearly in the dream that I heard the two words, Celestine Prophecy. And as soon as I woke up, right after I heard those words super clearly, almost as if somebody had whispered them to me, I woke up and I was like, what's the book? That's a book's name. It was like running through my head. Like before I even opened my eyes, I was like, that's a book. It's called Celestine Prophecy. And back in January, maybe late December, I was having a lot of just intuitive moments, a lot of synchronicities. I still am, but it was a very transformative period for me between December and January, and I was having a lot of intuitive dreams. So the dream that I had very clearly told me that I had to read Celestine Prophecy. It's not like somebody said in the dream, oh, read Celestine Prophecy. No, it was just those two words, Celestine Prophecy. And as soon as I woke up, I literally got on my phone and I ordered the book, and it got there the very same day. So I read this early January. It is a very powerful book. It's kind of like The Alchemist, where it's a fiction book. So that's really important. Is for me, I was like looking for a fiction book almost to read, and this one just came up. So I will say this book, reading it was confirmation for me for a lot of different things in my life. And if you guys want to know or want a review on this book, or just want some more in-depth analysis of this book and its meaning and related to current events even, let me know down below, because it's very powerful and I highly recommend it if you want an enjoyable spiritual adventure read, very similar to The Alchemist, although I will say kind of like this one a little bit better than The Alchemist, but it's a good book nonetheless. So Celestine Prophecy, one that I read most recently. So before I go on to the rest of the physical books I have here, I want to just talk about the audiobook that I'm currently listening to. And when I'm done listening to this one, I'm going to go on to the books that I have here physically. The book I'm referring to is Build an Empire, How to Have It All by Elena Cardone. And I really did not know much about Elena Cardone. I follow her on Instagram. I love her posts. She's so funny. She's so real. And I love how she's a mom. She's a wife. She has children, yet she's crushing it in business, and she's super motivational. And so I saw some reviews on this book, and I just love so far how she is talking about her love journey, her relationship journey with her husband. How before she was very sworn off of love, very sworn off of relationships, very independent, working in acting, and then she met her husband, who at first she didn't like him, and then he ticked off a bunch of boxes that she wanted in a man and a potential husband. And she talks about how their business life goes and how their relationship is strengthened through business. And I think that's so powerful and not talked about enough, because we often hear about business in the sense of the individual, about your mindset, but nobody really talks about building a business and building an empire within a relationship when you're, with your boyfriend or you're married. And I think that's something so important and something that I've always been curious about, but I've never really found the right thing or really searched for the right book that talked about this. But she really lays it out, super relatable, and her speaking tone. That's super important to me when listening to audiobook, is somebody that sounds relatable, that sounds like they're actually talking to you, not just a monotonous voice. So it's a really great audiobook. I highly recommend if you're in a relationship and you're both entrepreneurs, or you want to get more into the entrepreneurial side, or you have resistance to certain things in relationships, you just want relationship advice. I mean, I think it's really good. Even if you're single and one day you want to get married, or one day, you know, you want to build an empire with your spouse, I think that this is definitely something to listen to. It's good to hear this perspective. So Empire by Elena Cardone, highly recommend it. Okay, so now let's get to the stack of books here. So this first one is called Secrets from Heaven. This one my mom actually bought for me for my birthday. My birthday was a couple weeks ago now, I think. And she bought this for me, and I got it right before I left for Puerto Rico. And I haven't been able to read it yet, but it just seems super, like, it's just up my alley so far, because I have recently been getting into learning more about Jesus, about the apostles, about Mary, about Joseph, and, you know, the saints, and I love listening and hearing about their lives and their journeys. And this one is Hidden Treasures of Faith in the Parables and Conversations of Jesus. And I think that a lot of what we know about Jesus, or what is just kind of accepted about Jesus or known about Jesus, is not the full range of what there is to know about Jesus and what there is to know about Christ. And giving your heart to Christ is about knowing his words, about knowing his parables, which Jesus spoke in parables. And there's just so much knowledge, even esoteric knowledge, in what Jesus taught and what he preached and what he was about. And a lot of what he talked about which is why he was crucified, because he was speaking truths that were unacceptable at the time, which makes Jesus truly a pioneer and truly a rebel in so many cases. You know, almost like he was canceled to the utmost degree. So I've always learned so much from the teachings of Christ and throughout my entire life, and it's something that has always driven me and always inspired me more than anyone or anything else. And you don't have to be a Christian to be able to learn from the parables of Jesus Christ. So I'm really excited about this. This is a Catholic book, and you guys know I born and raised Catholic, and I still identify heavily with my Catholic faith, and I am just excited about this book. Seems like a really easy, clear read, not too long. So this is going to be my next book that I get into after I am done with the audiobook. Because I do like to read books one at a time to be able to really just absorb the teachings of that book. So that's my next one. All right, so right here I have the classic Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, the original text of the classic guide to a new life. Now, you guys know I'm very much into mindset, into the subconscious, into rewiring your mindset, into growing and self-improvement. Y'all know that. I'm sure those of you guys who are watching this right now are also in the same realm as me. And now Psycho-Cybernetics is a book I read. This book is from the 60s, I believe. So I actually read this a very long time ago, and I lost my copy, and there's a lot of stuff that stuck with me, but also a lot of stuff that I forgot, so I wanted to revisit this book. So it's a lot about self-image, your mindset, your identity, things like that. So it is definitely a book about mindset. So I'm really excited to get back into it. So for example, here's one of the chapters. Chapter 4, dehypnotize yourself from false beliefs. So a lot of it is about limiting beliefs. And this is one of the most powerful books I believe out there on self-image, on rewiring your image, other than Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, obviously. But if you're really into mindset, or you are working on your limiting beliefs and you don't know where to start, this is a really good one. And I would say it's a pretty straightforward read. It's very conversational, so it's not something like super esoteric. Definitely one that is good if you're going through a journey of transformation. Next book I have here is Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz back in, I want to say 2017, 2018. Let me just say, that book was so life-changing. It really changed the paradigm of how I view life, and it's one of those books that really, if you're going through an awakening, starts to make sense for you. And The Four Agreements is one of the most powerful books, I will say, even if you're not a super spiritual person, even if you're not, person that's into ancient wisdom, anything like that, it is a book that that will improve your life and make you see your life in a different way, I would say. So this one's called The Mastery of Love, and love is one of those things that for me was something I kind of closed myself off to for a while. And when you go through breakups and things like that, it can be hard to come back to this place of just pure unconditional love. And love is not just a romantic thing. It's not just about being in a relationship. Love is also, for me, it's a state of being. So I really wanted to get back into just that realm of learning, because I feel like a lot of the stuff I've been learning about recently is more, knowledge and self-improvement. But I really want to get back to that core sense of love, unconditional love, and living in love. And I don't know why I got this one. It just kind of came to me that I remembered, oh, he has a book on the mastery of love. And I was like, now's the perfect time. If you're healing, if you've been through a healing journey, as you guys know, I went through pretty much a big healing journey in 2020 and a lot of heartbreak, not romantic, but just heartbreak about life in general. And so I think this is just like gonna be the cherry on top for my healing journey that I have been going through and has been very successful. So if you guys want, I can also do a review on this one, but I would highly recommend you start with the 4 Agreements first, because that one is just a classic. I think it's back there on my bookshelf too. So my next book is The Artist's Way, and it is by Julia Cameron, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. Now, what I've read on the reviews of this book is that it's a lot like Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is one of my favorite books, especially if you're in a creative field, kind of have resistance to, being creative or working on your creativity. So this one was actually recommended to me by my friend Elena. She posted it on her story, and the way she described it really just brought me to this book. So I was like, I need to, and I love the size of the book. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it just looks like such a gorgeous book. Looks so chock full of wisdom, and it looks like it has a lot, it's kind of like a workbook almost. So this is really exciting, and you can see week 6, so it goes by week, looks like. It says week 6, recovering a sense of abundance. So it says The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron is not exclusively about writing. It is about discovering and developing the artist within, whether a painter, poet, screenwriter, or musician, but it is a lot about writing. If you have always wanted to pursue creative dream, have always wanted to play and create with words or paints, this book will gently get you started and help you learn all kinds of paying attention techniques. And that is what being an artist is all about. It's about learning to pay attention. So, especially since I've been getting back into YouTube and I felt like my creativity waned for a little bit, I think this is exactly up my alley, and I'm going to just fully enjoy this book. And I'm going to take my time with this book since it is kind of like a workbook. You can see there's kind of quizzes inside and different things. So thank you, Elena, and you guys should check her out. She's Pretty Happy Habits on Instagram. I will link her down below. She's amazing. So thank you, Elena. I can't wait to start working in this one, which I actually might start working in this one sooner rather than later, because just, I read the Jesus book and this one at the same time, possibly. We'll see how I feel. And finally, we got a textbook. Not really though, but very similarly to a textbook. This is by my queen, the most amazing Dr. Christiane Northrup. She is somebody that I have admired for years. My mom actually introduced me to her. Well, actually, my mom used to talk to me about her and her books, but I never really got into her until I found her myself on social media, and I really resonated with everything. So this one is Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. Another good book that I love by her is called Goddesses Never Age, and she is an OBGYN. She's an MD, and she is somebody who perfectly embodies the divine feminine, the goddess energy, if you will, because she talks about women's bodies in such a spiritual way. So she bridges the gap between medicine and, the physiology of a woman and the spiritual meaning behind it. And this book is, look how big she is. This book is a textbook, and the way I've actually started reading it, but the way I'm reading it is kind of like going to the front, to the table of contents, and just searching whatever topic seems more interesting to me or more needed for me. So something about women is that I think a lot of our bodies are kind of a mystery, and a lot of our bodies, especially our reproductive system, can be very almost like taboo to talk about. Some people just think it's taboo taboo to even say the word period or to say I'm on my period. So it growing up, you know, it's kind of been something that you don't really discuss other than when you go into your OBGYN, when you go to your yearly exams, it's like when you pay attention. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, I have, you know, noticed, for example, the moon phases have an effect every single month. My time of the month comes on the same day with the full moon. And that's when I started to kind of pay attention, because before it wasn't like that. It wasn't until I started to do inner work that I noticed that. And so it made me more curious, but I could never find somebody who talked about women's health in a spiritual way with respect to the divine feminine, with respect to our connection to nature and Mother Earth, and still being scientific, still being rooted in knowledge and experience, which she has so much experience. And she talks about a lot of topics that are taboo and are, you know, the medical community probably won't talk about openly, but that's what makes her book so powerful. And even if you don't think you're into that as a woman, definitely give her books a try and see how you feel. She makes you feel empowered to be a woman. She makes you feel, I mean, it's the divine feminine, you know, it's that goddess energy that she makes you aware of and proud of, and not see it as something bad or evil or anything like that. So I love Dr. Northrup. She has really made me feel better about my body, about the changes, about aging and things like that. So I highly recommend this book. And I mean, literally like a textbook. You will, if you read it, you know, from cover to cover, you'll probably be there for a while, but that's why I'm kind of taking it as like a guide. But yeah, I think, wow, this book has just blown me away. So that is it for my book recommendations, my angels, and these are the current books I'm reading. If you guys like these more book related videos, please give this video a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoy it. Also, please leave me your book recommendations down below. I'm always open to new recommendations. These books that I have here will probably last me the next 2 or 3 months or so. I try to read a book every 1 to 2 weeks, so we'll see how long these will last. I always try to make sure I read every single book I buy until I buy new books. So, because sometimes I buy books and I just kind of leave them there. So I'm really trying this year to read more and to be more conscious of the books that I am reading. So leave me your suggestions down below. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know down below too. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways, all that. Let's share the knowledge. And if you guys like my content, please be sure to subscribe to see more videos from me, and also follow me on Instagram. Links are always down below where you can find me, my website, all that good stuff. And thank you so much for watching, my beautiful angels. And always remember this, no matter what you look like or what you're going through, always remember your true beauty, true worth, true power always come from within. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.